For decades, the world has been told a specific story about the war on drugs. We are told it is a story of supply and demand, a chaotic criminal enterprise fueled by greedy cartels and desperate addicts, a failure of policing, a tragedy of human nature. But what if the explosion of narcotics in the West wasn't an accident of the market? What if it was a calculated act of war? Imagine a weapon that doesn't target infrastructure, but the very mind and morale of a civilization. This is the story of red cocaine, a top-secret, multi-decade geopolitical strategy designed to use addiction as a tool of mass demoralization. From the secret poppy fields of revolutionary China to the high-tech laboratories of the Soviet KGB, narcotics were nationalized and weaponized to accelerate the collapse of the West from within. But how do we know this? This isn't mere speculation or a dark fringe theory. The blueprint for this global operation was brought to the West by one of the highest-ranking defectors of the Cold War, General Jan Senya. Senya was the chief of staff to the Minister of Defense in Czechoslovakia and a member of the powerful Central Committee. He sat in the secret meetings where the Soviet Defense Council orchestrated the industrialization of the drug trade. This investigation is based on the groundbreaking work of Dr. Joseph Douglas Jr., who compiled Senya's chilling testimony. A testimony that reveals the drug epidemic wasn't just a social ill, it was a coordinated hit on Western civilization. The year is 1928. In the rugged mountains of rural China, Mao Zedong issues an order that transforms narcotics into instruments of geopolitical warfare. Begin cultivating opium in massive quantities. Mao's subordinate, Tan Chenlin, was tasked with the execution. The opium served two purposes. First, as a commodity to procure weapons. Second, and more sinister, to drug the white region. In Mao's vocabulary, white was ideological. It meant the non-communist enemy. The strategy was elegantly brutal. Use narcotics to corrode the social fabric of the enemy. But the moment a region fell under communist control, the drugs were prohibited and poppy fields placed under strict state supervision. Mao framed this as a second opium war, a chemical war using indigenous methods. By 1949, when the People's Republic was established, opium production was nationalized. The year is 1928. In the rugged mountains of rural China, Mao Zedong issues an order that transforms narcotics into instruments of geopolitical warfare. Begin cultivating opium in massive quantities. Mao's subordinate, Tan Chenlin, was tasked with the execution. The opium served two purposes. First, as a commodity to procure weapons. Second, and more sinister, to drug the white region. In Mao's vocabulary, white was ideological. It meant the non-communist enemy. Moscow, 1962. Inside the Kremlin, a clandestine meeting is convened. The attendees are the apex of communist power: Nikita Khrushchev, Leonid Brezhnev, Mikhail Suslov and Andrei Kirilenko. Khrushchev was blunt. Mao and the Chinese were clever, but we have a vastly superior organization. He proposed a strategic offensive to use drugs to cripple capitalist society and finance revolutionary activities. Drugged populations, he emphasized, would be doubtful in crises or emergencies. The narcotics offensive would weaken the human factor in the defense situation. Simply denied involvement. Foreigners on our soil do not constitute a state crime. In Czechoslovakia, the plan was so sensitive that only 5 individuals developed it, isolated in a high-security villa. When the Minister of the Interior, Rudolf Barak, was asked how much money this would generate, his answer was stunning: enough to finance the entire Czechoslovak intelligence. Financing destruction. Capitalism was and is purchasing the instruments of its own dissolution. Havana, 1960. Just 18 months after the revolution, Raúl Castro arrives in Czechoslovakia. The Soviets are cautious, using the Czechs as a buffer to avoid alerting the United States. Jan Sena is the host. The agreement is clear. Czechoslovakia will organize Cuban intelligence. But there is a catch. 50% of the Czechoslovak advisors are actually Soviet GRU and KGB agents in disguise. Within years, Moscow's control over Cuba is total. Or the strategic pivot, the pink epidemic. General Boris Shevchenko, chief of special propaganda, identifies cocaine as the ultimate weapon. It is easier to produce and reaches more people than heroin. To serve and extend this epidemic, an ultra-secret research center is established in Milovici. There, scientists take crude South American techniques and refine them into professional mass production methods. This wasn't a cartel operation, it was a military-industrial complex. There is a form of warfare that targets souls instead of infrastructure. The Soviets called it demoralization. In 1967, at the Milovets facility, the experiments turned dark. Scientists conduct tests on prisoners to engineer designer weapons, psychochemical agents developed to damage the human capacity for logical thought. General Sena witnesses the results. One specific drug creates a state of weaponized apathy. Subjects become profoundly optimistic, but completely detached, indifferent to penalties or their own future. They stop making intelligent decisions. The motivation center of the brain is effectively neutralized. The Soviet advisors urge patience. Don't market these yet. Let organized crime take the blame first. This strategic patience is terrifying. Meanwhile, the blackmail infrastructure grows. Infiltration of financial institutions becomes a priority. By the late 1980s, the illegal money flowing through the U.S. was estimated at $300 billion annually. In the context of 2026, adjusting for 30 years of globalized shadow banking and inflation, we are looking at a laundered capital flow exceeding $1.5 trillion every single year. The Soviets knew that individuals in 45% of US and Canadian banks were already compromised or looking the other way. These institutions were the managers of the destruction. In September 1967, Raúl Castro returns to Prague. The new research focus, intellectual stagnation. The goal, find the exact chemical combination to cripple the mind of a society. How many years of drug exposure are needed to destroy a generation's ability to reason? The Soviets estimated 40 to 50 years to see the full results. Castro, more impatient, believed it could be done in 35. If you look at the state of Western discourse, the collapse of educational standards, and the cognitive decline in our modern era, exactly 40 to 60 years after these protocols were signed, the timeline fits with chilling precision. This is the ultimate legacy of red cocaine, a chemical silent war where the victim voluntarily pays for their own destruction. The machinery was set in motion decades ago. And as Jan Sena warned before his mysterious death, it never stopped. (1989). The Berlin Wall falls. The Soviet Union collapses. The Cold War, we are told, is over. But what if the war never ended? What if it simply went underground? When the Soviet Union officially dissolved in 1991, something remarkable happened. Or rather, didn't happen. The vast narcotics infrastructure we've documented, the production facilities, the trafficking routes, the money laundering banks, didn't disappear. It transformed. What was strategic criminalism, drugs as state policy, seamlessly evolved into what we live with today, professional global criminalism. This is the largest transfer of wealth in human history, $40 trillion, and it happened largely in silence. Now consider the crisis ravaging our communities, the fentanyl epidemic, synthetic opioids, manufactured with precision, distributed with ruthless efficiency, targeting the exact populations Soviet strategists identified 60 years ago: the young, the military, the future leaders. In the 1960s, they called it the pink epidemic. Today, fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin. It is the perfect evolution of the same strategic doctrine: weaponized narcotics deployed to demoralize, destabilize, and destroy. The Western response? That the narrative that the drug crisis just false. For decades, intelligence services campaign against Western civilization. This wasn't crime, this was warfare. The objective was never merely profit, it was demoralization, the systematic degradation of our moral values, our cognitive capacity, and our will to resist. It as war. In narco-warfare, the casualties are invisible until it's too late. The attack is still ongoing. The documents exist. The patterns are undeniable. The only question is, what are we going to do about it? Because if we continue treating a strategic offensive as a simple social problem,